everybody. Welcome back to Eggs, the podcast. Today's special guest is Michael Arries, Senior Advisor at McAlvany Precious Metals. Michael, how are you?
Well, I'm good. How are you doing today, guys?
Doing
Absolutely
great.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks so
thanks
much
for
for
having
making
me
time to
on.
visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Why don't you give us a quick overview of who you are, how you got into your field, and what you
Mhm.
do?
Yeah. Well, thanks. So I work for McAlvany Precious Metals, like you said, as a senior advisor. So I help folks understand the reasons for owning gold and silver, actually physically owning precious metals, and helping folks invest that way to protect their assets. And I've been doing this for a long time. I think 14 years now. And I've known about this company really since I was a kid. My parents got their newsletter and went to some of their conferences and started buying precious metals even before Y2K. And it's just kind of one of those things where, you want to protect your savings. You want to have something real and something that's not just a number on a computer screen and just kind of seeing the way the world is heading. Just have something that's safe, that's always going to be there. So just kind of been following these markets for a long time, really been investing in gold and silver myself for 25 years. So I've seen the different cycles these markets go through. I've seen some of the strategies that we've employed play out, even to be able to get myself free ounces of gold and silver through different arbitrage trades. So we can talk about that at some point, but just have a lot of experience with these markets and kind of have always enjoyed an alternative perspective on the news and on the world and kind of seeing what's really going on behind the scenes and just trying to make sense of the market and the economy.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
And I think that's actually one of the more, I guess one of the bigger reasons why I'm really excited to visit with you today is because, our world has changed a lot since we talked to somebody who was in this field
Mhm.
and who has, looked at this as a different asset class versus, just typical, financial buying stock or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I think it'll be really great to catch up and learn a little bit about sort of the state of the market today.
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's we've covered a lot of topics as far as investing goes. A lot of real estate. We've had financial
Mhm.
planners on. We've never had anyone that actually goes into depth on investing in gold and silver and other commodities. Can you
Yeah.
maybe break down an entry level guide to getting started? Like if I
Mhm.
had $5,000 and I wanted to throw into you know precious metals, what would be a
Yeah.
good way to start?
Well, let me just say it this way. I think everyone needs to own precious metals. Everyone should have some. So, I know you work with entrepreneurs and CEOs and high level folks, and building your business is one thing. When you have assets and you want to invest and protect it, there's all different categories, but precious metals needs to be one piece of the pie. And frankly, everyone needs to own it because it's money. And we tend to think of the dollar as money, but the dollar is not money. Our dollar bills are a currency that are constantly being inflated and devalued by our central bank. So you can have a depreciating currency as part of your savings, or you can have real money like gold and silver, which do go up over time with inflation and they maintain their purchasing power. So, when it comes to precious metals, it's something everyone should have. It's not ignore this topic. It's not, have zero gold and silver. They just sit there. They don't make sense. No, everyone needs to have some. If you use the dollar, have some. So to your question, Mike, when you're talking about having $5,000, say that you want to put into gold and silver. So we recommend having physical precious metals. So actually owning coins and bars that you can hold in your hand. It is possible to store it at a depository if you want someone else to keep it safe for you, or you take it at home and keep it in a safe and keep it secure. But that's something real and tangible that you can hold on to that has intrinsic value in and of itself. And there's no, okay, big fancy term here, but you have, big listeners. There's no counterparty risk. Okay, no counterparty risk. If you have stocks, there is someone else in between you and your money that they have to do their job and keep their promises. And if they don't, you don't get your value. When you have a gold coin or a silver coin, that has value in and of itself. No one has to do anything. You have money, you have real value, and there's no risk from someone else not holding up their end of the bargain. So, physical precious metals is the way to own it. So, again, to your question, it's buying coins and bars and taking delivery of them and keeping them safe, and know that that money's not going anywhere. It's not going to disappear in the blink of an eye. That's real value, and it will maintain purchasing power with inflation. I would say too, silver's a little bit better buy than gold right now. It's got more catch up to do. So for your 5,000, maybe put more than half of it into silver. Maybe put 3,000 into silver and 2,000 into gold, something like that, and just have more exposure to silver, since I think it's going to give us a little better price performance.
So the current value on gold right now, I just Googled it, is
Mm-hmm.
2,400, 2,468 right now is what it's
Yep.
sitting at. When
Mm-hmm.
I actually, a few years ago, I went up to Nome and I went gold mining with a friend
Yeah.
on a dredge. And so I was
Yeah.
really in the gold market, as far as like excited about, oh my goodness, it's going for 1,800 an ounce. And then it
Yep.
jumped up to 1,900. And in 3 years, it's jumped up to 2,400. So
Mm-hmm.
is that out of the norm to have a $500 increase like that? Or is that, I mean, is it pretty much peaked, do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think it's peaked. I think it could actually go higher from here. Like $8,000 to $10,000 an ounce would not be crazy. It would not be completely wild. So, um, yeah, moves like that in gold every few years are not abnormal. It was $300 an ounce 20 years ago. So now that we're up to over $2,000 an ounce, it is going up over time as the dollar is going down. And these kind of moves are not abnormal. And silver's gone up just as much as well, but in that same time frame, I mean, silver was in the mid-teens and now it's 30. So silver's doubled in price. So you're talking about pretty significant moves, but I don't think they're done yet. I don't think they're quite done yet. If we look at really how much money we've printed just out of thin air and what gold tends to do historically over time, if we look at previous bull markets and see how much gold caught up to and accounted for the money supply, um, it's not even close yet. It's not even close yet. Today, in today's dollars and all the trillions of extra liquidity we have, $10,000 gold would be something similar to what it's done in the past. 2,500 is not the peak, not even close.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. And I wanted to ask too. So, like, as somebody, I mean, I've only dabbled in this a little bit. I've got
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know, 150 ounces or something of silver.
Yeah.
And but I a couple of years ago started to get into it a little bit. I had sold a big project and I had a little extra cash, and I was like, where can I invest some of these things? And
Mm-hmm.
so both my father and my stepfather were, precious metals guys. And so they both, did a lot of that. And they suggested, hey, you should try and get in precious metals if you could. And
Yeah.
at my price point, I couldn't really afford, or at least in my mind, it didn't seem like I could get into gold. Like it's just, even at, $2,000 an ounce or whatever it was then, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, maybe some of it has to do with sort of the intangible or making things feel a certain way, but it's like, I can only buy that little tiny coin of gold,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
could get this little stack of silver. So it feels
Mm-hmm.
like I have something, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely.
but what I discovered or what I found, and maybe you can help me understand this, and maybe it just has more to do with sort of, I guess, consumer buying of gold and silver,
Mm-hmm.
is all the silver I bought, I basically bought a little above spot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I would go to sell, like if I went to a local pawnbroker or something to try and cash something out, is like below spot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're losing on both ends of the equation, how do you actually make money with something like silver?
Because that percentage above and below spot has absolutely been dwarfed by the market move in silver, just completely dwarfed. So, let's say you bought a few years ago when silver was $20 an ounce. Yeah, maybe you had to pay $22 for a silver coin, and if you had sold it back the next day, you would have gotten 19 for it. Well, the reason you're buying silver is to hold on to it for the long term, to let this trend play out that we've been on. We've been in a bull market for 20 years and it hasn't hit its exhaustion peak yet. So you're hanging on to it. You want to see where this thing's going. Now that it's $30 an ounce, that spread, those costs you paid don't matter. You're up, 40-50% on your silver. So who cares? You've made money in the market. So yes, with physical silver, there's a cost to it. The spot price you see online is generally where just like raw bullion, raw mining supply is traded out on the futures market. And you're going to have to pay a little over spot to buy a physical coin once that mining supply is refined and fabricated into a pure, like, tradable product. And when you're selling it back, the wholesale market's going to give you something less because they're having to buy it back and warehouse it and then do something with it. So that's typical with physical metals, but the market moves we've seen here, usually overcome those costs by quite a bit. And so you want to have it, you want to hang on to it, you want to pay that cost to do that, take advantage of the gains, but you have the safety factor in between as well, where you've got your money in a real form. It's not just sitting in the ether somewhere and something you can't touch.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that's great insight. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so how important is the actual coin versus your silverware versus your just a block
Mm-hmm.
of silver? Is it better to invest in coins because they could be more valuable as a coin, or is it
Mm-hmm.
um better, it just doesn't matter just as long as you have, and also quality, the purity of the silver versus like the purity of the gold? um can you maybe break that kind of down for us so
Yeah,
what you
it
should be
does
getting?
matter. It does absolutely matter. You want to buy investment grade coins or bars. So buying from a reputable dealer, getting product from reputable mints, and basically getting a pure, 99.9% pure coin or bar that is recognizable, that is trusted, that is common. And back to Ryan's question, not paying too much over spot for that. There's all kinds of places where you can get overcharged, or you can get talked into a fancy product that costs more. You want to pay as little over spot as possible and get as many ounces as possible. So just buying whatever product is the least expensive, but at the same time, yes, getting an investment grade coin or bar to where it's tradable as is. It's recognizable, it's pure, it's stamped, so silver coins, gold coins. There's a different variety of them that we help people get, but something that is recognizable and tradable as is better. Silverware, I mean, that you just have to send to a refiner and have it melted down and get whatever silver content is out of that minus their fees for doing so. Whereas having a silver coin, um, something like this, it's like, oh, you don't need to do anything with it. It's stamped. It says it's, however many ounces of 999 fine silver. It's like, here, I can sell this for whatever the silver market's going for. I can trade it with someone for whatever they'll give me for silver. So that's what you want to get.
So, um I'll just use an example I did a
Mm-hmm.
few years ago when
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit. There was the same year there was a release of national coins that the America the Beautiful, uh, the mint put out, and one of them had a bat on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of morbid. It's a year that COVID came out, and it's a coin with a bat on it. Now, I went a little bit above and beyond, and I got
uh,
a 5 ounce
yeah.
uncirculated
Mm-hmm.
coin that's got the bat on it.
Yeah, I like
And
those America the Beautiful coins. They're cool.
so yes, it's 5 ounces of silver.
Mm-hmm.
But does the significance of something like that, or like a misprint, or
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's coins that are really valuable because of misprints.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys dabble in that and go after the collective market, or are you just
Mm-hmm.
on the pure raw ounce per $30?
We do both. We actually specialize in collectible coins too, more than most places too. But it's a very specific type of market. So the coin you're talking about, not a collectible.
In 100
So
years, it might be. That was
maybe.
my.
Maybe in 100 years. Yeah. So if you paid any extra to get that America the Beautiful coin, that's fine. I like them. They're cool. Get one if you like it, but don't invest in silver that way. Don't buy a bunch of those. Buy, the least expensive bullion coins you can get. Just 1 ounce silver rounds, 100-ounce silver bars. Just get as many ounces as you can. Something like that. Yeah, have it for fun, have it to keep. But that's not where you're building ounces. That's not your main silver investment. There are collectible coins. We actually specialize, not just dabble in, but we specialize in the collectible coin market as well. So that is another opportunity. It tends to be coins that are 100 years old or more, that have been graded by some of the professional grading services. And you really need someone who has expertise in that market to where they can say, okay, here's a coin that has a low population. There's not a lot of them that have survived. Here's one that's in a good grade. This actually deserves, a collectible premium. This actually is a rare coin. There's a lot of places that'll sell 100-year-old coins and call them collectibles, but it might be a common one. It might be one that there's, millions of, because there were a lot of them made. So even though they're old, they're not really that special. So getting collectible coins, you want to get good advice on that. And most modern stuff that you can buy, like the American Beautiful coin, is not going to be a collectible. There are places that'll say it is, but it's not. It's not old enough, rare enough, special enough to be anything that is collectible. So, so we can help folks that are interested in anything that is rare collectible. But generally, I say get modern bullion, least expensive ounces you can, build up ounces, and just own a portion of your portfolio in physical precious metals. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%. I wouldn't go less than 10%, because the precious metals are going to have a huge move here. And it's the one thing that is just foundational for your wealth that never goes away or goes to zero. So have a decent foundation. We're not heading into a world that looks like everything's going to be great on the horizon. No, we have wars overseas. We have potential, recession, market crashes coming. We have no strong political leadership. Like, there's no good solutions on the horizon. We might have to get through 5+ years of seeing where this mess is going to lead us. So with that uncertainty, we want to have a decent foundation in something that is real and that never goes away. So
if you're putting 10% of your portfolio into precious metals, how does that work as far as, Uncle Sam, taxes, all the crap that we hate, and probably the reason why we want to invest in precious metal? Can you how does that work?
there is capital gains tax on precious metals. So just like with stocks, bonds, rental properties, you're going to pay capital gains tax if you sell it for a profit down the road. So that is still there. That is still part of it. I guess my thinking is, well, you still keep the rest of your gain. You might as well have some gain that's not completely private. You're not going to not pay capital gains tax, but you still have a real tangible asset in the meantime that's portable and liquid and safe. It's a good complement to real estate. Real estate gives you cash flow and it's tangible. Gold and silver give you portability and liquidity that real estate don't have, and still a tangible asset. So they complement each other. It's all part of diversifying and protecting your assets. Still, there's still capital gains tax, but it's something that's going to be safe, and it's going to grow with inflation, and not, you're not going to lose purchasing power like you will on your cash and all of that. So,
okay. Yeah, no, I think all this stuff is super interesting, and I'm trying to figure out too, like, so, I mean, buying it as an investment, I know one of the things that you've mentioned, or that I've heard about it in the media, is that, you can now start to ostensibly buy precious metals, even if you don't take physical holding of them, and put them into IRAs and things like that.
Ian used to do that.
How does that stuff work? So, for example, I'm self-employed. I have a SEP IRA, through some brokerage or whatever. Like, I mean, how do I allocate resources into something like this?
Yeah, we've actually been doing precious metals IRAs for decades. I think they were allowed by legislation in the mid '80s, and so we've had experience with these for a long, long time. There's a handful of IRA custodians out there that do alternative assets, and one of them being precious metals. They'll let you buy physical precious metals with your IRA money and store it at a depository. It does have to be stored. You can't take it at home, or that's like a IRA distribution, a taxable distribution. But if you have a SEP IRA, or if someone has an old 401k that they want to roll to an IRA, we can set up a precious metals IRA. You can use those retirement funds to buy physical gold and silver, and you're not having to take it out and pay taxes on that money in order to buy gold and silver. It's owned by your IRA. So that's also a great way to do it. You get the tax benefit. If anyone has a Roth IRA, that's the best way to do it. I really think silver is extremely undervalued and could very well go up 5 times in price if it sort of does an average job historically, and potentially 10 times in price from here if it does what it did in the 1970s again today in today's dollars. So having those kind of gains in a Roth IRA where you don't pay the capital gains tax or the income tax on it, then you're just killing it. Then you're really taking advantage of the very few opportunities we have that the government still allows.
Yeah. Well, and so how does that work? Or I guess not really how does that work, but historically speaking, I mean, you mentioned like these bumps in value, like in the 70s, and, we may be on the precipice of another one, even though it feels like these are one of those things that people just kind of say, that you can always kind of count on metal going up. how does like a precious metals IRA, stack up against sort of a traditional IRA, let's say invested in the stock market? So let's be generous and say they're getting an 8%, every year, which is probably a little generous. And well, let's call it 6 then. But like so, if you're growing an IRA or you're growing your 401k like in a traditional manner, we'll say, and versus if I had done the same thing, but I just took my retirement earning or savings and put it into this, precious metals IRA, at retirement, I guess who's likely to be in the better position? I mean, do precious metals compound and things like that the same way stocks do?
Well, the precious metals grow in price. They appreciate. So think of it again like a house, like a tangible asset. You expect to sell that in the future at a higher price. With your gold and silver, I would expect that at some point in the future, you're going to sell it at a higher price and get more cash than you paid for it. And then hopefully put that into some other undervalued asset and keep growing it. But it's an asset that appreciates in value. So, again, the last 20 years, gold has gone up 8 times in price. So at most points that you've bought gold in the last 20 years, and had it in an IRA, it's done well for you. We had a peak in 2011 that we're just now getting past again and starting to go beyond. So except for buying in 2011, 2012, most other times you're done well and you're up on your gold. And really over the last 20 years, gold and silver have outperformed the stock market, but you can always pick and choose time frames to look at. So if you bought stocks in 2009 at the low after the great financial crash, then from there they've outperformed gold. Most other times they've not really outperformed, or gold has outperformed stocks. So having that again to diversify your wealth, not saying really pick gold over stocks, it's just have at least some exposure to precious metals because they are doing well and they are poised to continue to do well. Stocks may be at an exhaustion point here at some point. They're way overvalued. They've just been pushed up by money printing from the Fed. At some point, they've got to have kind of a big crash and that bubble's going to pop. So, no one can pick the top. That's coming at some point. Metals are not due for a crash. Metals are due for the opposite. They've got to run up and catch up to all the money we've printed. So they're going to be a safe thing to own and something that's poised for growth. Not saying don't own stocks, but stocks, you probably got to know how to read the charts and trade them or hire someone who does. And the buy and hold strategy, not a good idea right now. Don't set it and forget it right now. That's not going to work in these markets.
Yeah. So if you do invest in gold or silver in that form, how liquid is it? Can you get it tomorrow if you need it, or are you stuck on it for a while if you need to pull it out?
Very liquid. Gold and silver are one of the most liquid assets on the planet. You can sell it any day of the week. It always has a buyer, and you can turn it into cash. Never going to sit on the market. Never going to not have a buyer. Not like a mutual fund that maybe they need some time to unwind it. Not like, maybe if you have a house in the wrong place and it sits on the market for 6 months. Nope, gold and silver, you can sell any day of the week. There's always a buyer for it. There's a very liquid market all around the world. I mean, heck, half the demand for gold comes from India and China. So it doesn't even matter if the U.S. is asleep at the wheel, which we are, which most people are just, they don't get it. They don't realize they're being stolen from through inflation. But it doesn't even matter. There's a global market for gold that is always moving. So you can sell it anytime, turn it into cash. You can take delivery of it from your IRA if you wanted. You pay the income tax, but you can just take possession of your gold if you wanted. So it's easy to get.
So to tack on to sort of what Mike was asking, I mean, in terms of your IRA, if you're investing in the IRA, let's say, I'm thinking of investing in like a traditional way, like the way that, you contribute a little out of every paycheck to your 401k, for example. With a precious metals IRA, are you able to sort of buy in fractionally versus like, my small potatoes version of buying silver was like, well, I can only buy this silver bar when I have $1,500 to buy the 10-ounce bar or whatever. Like, but until then, I can't do anything. So it's like there's kind of this bar that I have to reach in order to actually make a purchase and get into it, right?
Yeah.
So with an IRA, for example, I mean, there's probably not a perfect fit for this, but let's say you've got $500 coming out of each check. It's not enough to buy an ounce. It's not enough to buy. I don't know how tiny they go with these things. I don't know if you can buy a gold flake somewhere, but like, I mean, does the money sort of move in like the same way that like digital currency transfer works. Like
Mhm.
I'm sort of giving you $10,000, let's say, and you've got that, and there's almost like a promissory tie to some gold asset that's really there.
Mhm.
But like if I gave you another $100, like I would just own $100 more in gold, versus like I have to wait until I hit the next $2,000 threshold or something to buy another bar.
Mhm.
Like, does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining that
It
very
it
well,
it
but
it 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 makes sense, Ryan. Yeah. So, as far as that, when you were talking earlier about that ounce of gold being up $2,500, that's getting kind of high. There are fractional coins you can get. There are 1/10 ounce, 1/4 ounce gold coins. So if you want to spend $500 on gold, you can do that. I still think silver is the better buy right now, and it's going to make a bigger move. And you can buy an ounce of silver for, $33, $34 at the moment. We'll see where it goes from here. But you can certainly buy a number of ounces of silver if you're just putting in a few $100s at a time. And I would say just stack up the silver. So, generally, if someone has some cash they want to protect, if they have an IRA to roll over, great. Get a foundation in precious metals. But if someone's adding a little bit at a time, sure. If you do a precious metals IRA, they can do a automatic contribution from your bank account. You can put in $100 every paycheck or whatever you want to do and keep adding to it until you get to that maximum yearly contribution. And you said you have a SEP IRA. That's great. SEP IRAs usually have a higher contribution limit than a normal IRA does. So, you have more room to put income aside, not have to pay tax on it yet, and have it invested. But small amounts, even outside of an IRA, someone can send us $500 and I'll send you some silver. So just whatever you can do to start protecting your wealth and getting something tangible stacked away.
Great. Can you tell us about, is it McAlvany, the company you work for?
McAlvany. Yep.
McAlvany.
Yeah.
What do they specialize in? Why would you pick them
Mhm.
over someone else? What's your role in there?
Really, really good question, Mike. Yeah, McAlvany Precious Metals, we've been around over 50 years. We were started in 1972, so 52 years now. Family-owned company, passed down from father to son. So you've got a lot of longevity there, a lot of experience in these markets, and we tend to put relationship first over the transaction. So we're trying to help folks, we're trying to educate and explain the strategies and let them know why to own precious metals and how best to do it, and just build long-term relationships with our clients. And that tends to stand out in these markets. There's a lot of gold companies out there where you see them advertised on Fox News or on the internet, and that's expensive, and you're going to end up paying more or getting talked into a higher priced coin to help them pay for that. And it's about the transaction. It's not about the relationship. So we do stand out a little bit as far as helping folks, being on the low end of the spectrum as far as price, and trying to, over the long term, help people make the most of owning precious metals, and have been doing this for decades. And I've been a senior advisor here for a number of years, been working here for 14 years. So I know these markets, I know these cycles, studied the history of precious metals, and just economics, and just what happens in these different kind of scenarios we go through. So, it's more about educating folks, helping them to understand what they're doing and why, and how this is going to benefit, and where it's going from here. Even looking at the price charts, and just seeing where is this really going? What do we expect from here?
Is gold and silver the only commodities you guys deal in? Do you sell other
Mm.
materials as far as, like, I don't know, copper or lithium? Like right now, you know
No.
what I mean? Like, okay,
No,
all right.
so McAlvany, we've got two companies. McAlvany Precious Metals does precious metals, which is mainly gold and silver, sometimes a little bit of either platinum or palladium, but that's it. Anything beyond that, you're getting into industrial metals where you don't actually want to own it or hold it. It doesn't make any sense to. Gold and silver are the precious metals. They are the ones that are money, that you do want to hold on to, that are a form of wealth. So there's that, and then in addition to precious metals, we've got McAlvany Wealth Management. So we do help folks with the paper side of things if they have a stock and bond portfolio they want to manage. It's just we still favor tangible assets. That's where maybe you would find some of the resources you're talking about. We're going to look at wanting to buy mining companies, buy real estate, specialty real estate, things where there's something real. And maybe it is a mining company that does lithium or copper. We're going to focus on things that are real, not buying Facebook or Google. So still tangible assets, but yeah, the wealth management team can do the paper side, and then the precious metals team can help with just getting that main foundation where it's money you can put your hands on that has intrinsic value.
So I wanted to keep going on this sort of retirement plan angle. So in the event you've got, some amount of your portfolio is in precious metals, like when it comes to time to start drawing against that, like how is that done in a way that is the most efficient, I guess? So, are you literally selling assets and drawing against that? Are you borrowing money against this stored asset and then living off sort of the borrowed, what are the strategies for retirement around this?
It's really not any different than any other IRA. I don't think anyone's ever going to borrow against their IRA to live off of that. You have your IRA savings saved up. At some point, you may pull money from that to supplement your income. So if you have a retirement account in stocks, your broker would have to liquidate some of your stocks and send you a check for the cash from that IRA. And it's a taxable distribution. You'll pay some taxes on it, but you're pulling money out as you need it. Really not different with the precious metals IRA. It's still an IRA. There's an asset in there. We can liquidate any ounces of gold and silver that the IRA owns at the depository if you need cash, and you can pull out the cash. So still very simple. We can still help with that. One unique thing about the precious metals IRA is you can take a distribution in kind, meaning you can have the gold or silver sent to you. With anything else, any other IRA, you don't get your stock or bond or anything else sent to you. You don't get a certificate. It either sits there or they sell it and send you the cash. With the metals IRA, there's actual gold and silver that we buy and is delivered to the depository for that IRA. It's sitting there. So you can sell it if you need the cash, but you can also pull that gold out. If you get to the point where you're like, I want that in hand. I don't want it in the IRA anymore, but I don't need the cash. I have other income. You can have some of that gold or silver shipped to you, pay the tax on it, and you don't have to sell it. You just take that gold that you already own and they ship it to you. So kind of unique that way, where you can actually take that asset and hold it.
So when you take it and hold it, though, does it come off your IRA's like sheet? So now all of a sudden you own that inventory, but it's not being accounted for as part of your IRA anymore?
Correct. What I'm talking about is an IRA distribution, which would be a taxable distribution. It's just the unique factor is you can do that. You don't have to sell your gold. You already bought it in the IRA, say years ago, and you could take it out and take possession of it if you wanted it. Whereas pretty much anything else you own in the IRA, it's not something you can take possession of. But gold and silver, you can do a cash distribution or an in-kind distribution and take the gold and silver itself and have it in your hand.
So I think the way it works, I'm not really old enough to have to think about this yet, but I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, your tax bracket and your tax rate all depends on how much you pull out each year, right? So if you pull out more than a certain amount, they put you at a higher tax rate because you're pulling that much out, right?
It's just income. So you make income during the year. If you pull money out of your IRA, it adds if you're past penalty age, it just adds to your income, and then that wherever you end up on taxes with that much money.
Okay. So in the long run, it's better to buy and hold yourself because you're
not necessarily. It depends. It depends. A retirement account can be a great way to own gold and silver. A Roth is a very great way. And it really just depends on what someone has. If someone's got cash in the bank and no IRAs and they want to protect it, buy some gold and silver and hang on to it, put it in a safe place. If someone doesn't have any cash savings or they've got kids going to college, they're spending money, but they've got an old 401k from a previous job, well, roll that into an IRA, and that gives you a vehicle and a means to get some exposure to gold and silver. So really just depends on someone's circumstance and what they need. But any of those ways, either taking possession or having an IRA, have their advantages, and they can be great vehicles. So
okay. At the top of the show, you mentioned something about arbitrage being a strategy for, increasing your ounceage without, maybe even having to pay for it. I wonder if we could spend a few minutes sort of exploring that idea of I think people have at least some notion of what, these different arbitrage strategies are, like when it comes to buying and selling homes and things like
Mm.
that. But I wonder if
Yeah.
you'd sort of explain how it works in precious metals, and if there's in fact a way to sort of increase your holdings without a lot of extra expense.
Yeah, there's absolutely a way. So I appreciate you bringing that back up, and it kind of goes back to Mike's question about what sets us apart, why work with us. There's very few companies that do these kind of strategies. I don't know that really anyone else does, and there's one other place I know does, and they learned it from us. So yeah, part of what sets us apart is to have sort of a dynamic play with precious metals. So instead of just, buy gold, bury it in the backyard and wait for the end of the world, it's like, no, this is an investment. There's reasons to own it. It's tangible, it's inflation proof. But within that, there are dynamics in the precious metals market that change over time. So gold and silver, they don't go up at exactly the same pace over time. They will tend to outperform each other and take turns going back and forth. Sometimes silver shoots up and outperforms gold for a season, and then sometimes gold will hold up better when they're both going down, and gold will outperform silver for a season. So we can track this. We can look at the price ratio, the relationship between gold and silver. We can plot it on a chart and track it over time. And you know what? It's very predictable and very cyclical. So we can say, oh, you want to buy gold and silver right now? Let's see. Buy more silver right now. And then when that cycle changes, we let our clients know, hey, now's a good time to trade some of your silver for gold, and you get some extra gold, more than you could have bought originally. So we try to get people on the right side of the cycle, and we stay with our clients, have that long-term relationship. And when there's a change to make that they can benefit from, we let them know. So, when there's that arbitrage, hope silver is outperformed. Let's see here, based on where you started. Oh yeah, you can get 80% more gold for your silver than if you had bought gold when you started. Big gains. They're usually years apart, but there are big enough moves to have big double-digit percentage gains in ounces and get free ounces like that. So we'll help people take advantage of that. And it's not all one or the other. It's not like, all right, let's sell all our silver and go into gold. Let's sell all our gold and go into silver. We'll maybe be heavier one or the other and take a portion of our position and move it one way or the other, because we don't know the future perfectly. But when we hit some of these trigger points, we can readjust, and be heavier one or the other, and with whatever we're trading, get free ounces. So I've done this myself. One of the trades that we've been able to do is premium trades, where there's an extra premium on a certain product. So anyone that might be somewhat familiar with precious metals, silver eagles from the US Mint a couple years ago had a huge premium. The market was paying 40-50% over spot for these coins because of demand and because of people wanting these. And there was just this season where they were just going crazy. It was ridiculous. So selling them, I wouldn't sell them at that time. I would tell people, don't buy them, they're too expensive. But when the market premium got up high enough, it was like, hey, we can trade these and get more ounces of something else. The market is paying a huge premium for silver eagles. Let's sell them and go into silver bars and get 40% more ounces than you had before. And so we were doing that for clients. I did that myself. I took a bunch of silver eagles that I had and some other coins that had a premium. I took 1,400 ounces of silver, no, 1,300, and turned it into 1,700 ounces of silver. I pocketed 400 ounces of free silver because I sold some at a premium, bought some bars that had no premium, and just got extra ounces and got 400 free ounces of silver. So I've done this myself, helped clients do this. And whenever we see an opportunity like that, if one product is more than another, we'll trade that premium. If gold moves against silver, we'll trade and get more ounces of one or the other. So it's a dynamic play. Over time, your precious metals position can grow and get bigger. Your pile can get bigger with free ounces as we hit these points.
So I wonder, in sort of the spirit of that, I mean, it sounds, at least to me, knowing nothing, it sounds labor intensive, right? This sounds like a lot of work. And so in terms of like working with you guys really. in terms of managing this stuff, right? I mean, like if I had to sit here at my computer and try and play this little arbitrage game, I probably wouldn't be that successful. But I mean, do we have to be like multimillionaires with you to make it work out? Or like, I mean, is this the kind of thing that you can start doing, early in your investing and sort of, watch it grow over time? I mean, through careful selection, by working with somebody like you, I mean, do we have a close enough relationship that, you're moving things around sort of on autopilot? Or, I mean, like how much goes into actually trying to facilitate this arbitrage, for somebody who's non-expert,
Yeah.
basically meaning we're relying on you or somebody on your
Mhm.
team to
Yeah,
help us through that.
not a lot of work. So for someone like you, Ryan, if you're the client, if you're my client, you don't have to do a lot of work. You're going to hear from me, and I'll let you know when to make any changes in your portfolio, when there's opportunities to take advantage of. You'll tend to hear from me fairly often as far as getting email updates or maybe a call once a year, just so you know what the market's doing and where things are heading. But when we hit a point where, oh, here's a really good trade here. Oh, Ryan has that product. He can get this many more free ounces. You're going to get a call and email from me. I'm going to explain to you how it works, and it's just a matter of if you want to do it or not. And usually it's a no-brainer. So not a lot of work on your part. You're working with us because we're going to be that long-term advisor for you. We're going to let you know when to make changes and help you make the most of owning precious metals as an investment. So.
Well, and so I guess as a add-on to that, like how little is too little? Like, I mean, if somebody comes to you and they want to get started, like, I mean, do they need to, bring, $20,000 initial investment, or can they start with $500, or like, where can somebody begin working with you guys?
I usually tend to say $500 to $1,000 just to make the shipping cost worthwhile. You're going to have to pay, the insured shipping cost to have some coins sent to you. So don't buy a silver coin and pay just as much in shipping. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, $500, $1,000. I'm happy to help folks get started. Really, honestly, I just want to help folks and help people do this. So I have had the same conversation back to back with someone with $1 million and someone with $1,000. And it's just, I'm going to tell everyone the same thing, go through the same strategy, spend the same amount of time, and whatever someone has, 10,000, 100,000, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to put into precious metals, we'll help you do it the best way. So yeah, if it's 500, then we'll start getting some silver and keep building from there.
So also to that end, can you help with like account migration? Maybe they want to take a traditional IRA and move it over to a precious metals IRA,
Yep.
or maybe, figure out how to allocate money that would otherwise go into a 401k, through somebody's payroll system or something. Like, is there a way to make contributions into another platform or whatever you
Yep.
guys are using?
Yep. Absolutely. I can help with that. And yeah, I will have a very hands-on approach to helping folks. If they're not sure how to do something, it's not like I'm going to say, "Oh, get back to me when you're ready or when you have the money." It's like, no, I'm going to help you with every step of the process and help you figure things out if you need that.
Yeah, I know, like, even just in my own case, like trying to move 401ks and IRAs from old jobs and things, has been really confusing. And if you screw it up, then you have to pay taxes on it or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
so having somebody actually help you through the process is, I think, pretty critical.
Yep. No, that's what I'm here for.
What kind of fee structure are you charging for your amazing services?
We tend to be on the low end of the spectrum when it comes to buying precious metals. So with silver, I mean, you're going to pay $2 to $3 over spot, depending on what size of bar or coin you get. And that's about as cheap as you can buy online, cheaper than some of the big websites out there for buying silver. So really not that much. We're just going to be about as cheap as you can get anywhere. We're not charging a bunch extra like some places are. So.
Now, what about folks like me that it's, all the silver I have is the same brand because it's cool looking and they all look cool together. And, so I've got a very non-diverse group of silver bars because I've got the 1 ounces and the 5 ounces and the 10 ounces, but they're all the same. I think it's called sunshine minting or something like that. They just make a cool one, and they've got like a little thing on the back that you can put this little card over and, see that it's authentic or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they got me with all the marketing, right? So, I mean, so what about, folks like that? Like, I mean, do you help? I mean, to your point about arbitrage, right? If everything is the same, then there's no real room for arbitrage unless sunshine minting gets real hot for some reason. So is there, I mean, so in your case, are you guys helping diversify? Are you buying ugly bars and cheap bars and expensive bars and, all that stuff at the same time? Or, what's the strategy around that?
No, I wouldn't get into all that with precious metals. It's not really that complicated. You don't have to necessarily diversify your brands or type of product like that. I like Sunshine Mint. They're up in Idaho. They make a good product. We get that. We get some bars and coins from other various mints and refiners that are reputable. So there's Asahi in Salt Lake City. Used to be Engelhard in the 80s, but long time reputable refiner. I mean, there's a bunch out there where you get good product. Doesn't really matter. The thing you don't want to do is go online to some of these websites and get, the Aztec coins or the Marvel coins or whatever, and you're paying extra for the design and everything, and it's like, that doesn't matter. Just get, reputable brand, own ounces, and we'll get whatever's most available at the time. We're not going to necessarily pick or choose, brands or mints like that. It's just a matter of owning the right mix of gold and silver, getting as many ounces as you can, and getting set up for the strategy, and then where you want to store it and that sort of thing. But doesn't have to get more complicated than that. We'll take care of getting you good quality product, and then we'll always buy it back if you ever need to liquidate it.
So, say for example, grandma passes away and you inherit a bunch of gold and silver. Do you guys go through the process of helping the client figure out what that collection would be worth, as far as like not necessarily
definitely.
just on the weight value, but also, the random coin that could be worth 3 times what normal is?
Yes. Yeah, we are very helpful in that sense. I mean, we are a full service precious metals brokerage. We buy and sell. If you didn't buy from us, we can still buy back something else you might have. And then, I've helped folks identify stuff, value stuff. If they've got an inheritance or an estate or something, then we'll go through and do that. And I work with clients all over the country. So someone can email me pictures and say, oh yeah, here's what we got from so and so. Oh, okay. Yep. You have, this many ounces of gold and silver. Here's what it's worth. That coin, that's special. Let's grade that. Let's look into that further. Whatever it is. But yeah, we can actually absolutely help folks with anything regarding precious metals.
Really cool. Is there anything that we maybe have not touched on, a topic that is important that we haven't asked the right question to yet?
I think you guys have done pretty good. Talking about, like you were asking about price, talking about ratio trading, and then just all the reasons why to own it. I think you guys have done a really good job. The only other thing I would mention again is just that gold and silver are undervalued and are going much higher from here over the next few years. And if we were to do some technicals and look at the price charts, gold going over 2100 was a major ceiling that it crossed back in March. We are on a new big uptrend. It's not going to wait for us anymore. You're not going to be saying, oh, let me just kind of wait and see what it does. It's like, no, it's going to leave you behind at this point. That was back in March, and it's already almost 2,500. So it's not waiting for us anymore. We're on another extended uptrend. Same with silver on the price charts. Once it crossed 30, that was a major ceiling. It's still kind of going sideways and working itself out, but it's going to go to 50 and beyond in the near future now that it's at this point, and make that's a pretty big move percentage wise, but that's what's coming. That's what the technicals and the price charts and the market price action is indicating to us. So just know that time is short. Last few years it's gone sideways. Great. Build a precious metals position. Now it's not waiting for us anymore.
Well, thank you so much. Do you want to tell people where they can get in touch with you, how they can contact you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Really just my phone number. If you put that in the notes, my direct number is 970-459-4611. You can call or text me at that number, and I like to just work with folks directly and communicate and kind of help figure out what works best for you and tailor the strategy for you. So again, 970-459-4611.
Great. Perfect. And the website is McAlvany Precious Metals. It's McAlvany.com. I suppose you can learn just about anything you need to learn there about working with you guys or working with McAlvany to get into investing in precious metals.
Yep, there's a lot of education, a lot of market news on our website, and you can, again, call me directly. There's other advisors at our company, or go to McAlvany.com/Michael, and you can put in your info there. And then otherwise, wealth of resources on our website, and kind of a different approach, different kind of long-term approach to precious metals, not just strictly transactional.
No, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate your time. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for all the good questions. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thanks so much to everybody who tunes into the show this week and every week. We'll see you guys next time. This is a perfect